Today I'm going to tell you about some of the worst nurses I've ever worked with, and 5 ways that you can protect yourself from those bad nurses. Welcome to the Story Weaver After Dark, where true tales of crime, the paranormal, and horror collide with medicine and healthcare commentary, told by a veteran nurse who's seen it all.
You're in a hospital, sick, vulnerable. You hit the call light, and she walks in. A nurse, cold eyes, a clipped tone. She doesn't smile. She doesn't ask how you're doing. She barely looks at you, and right then, you're stuck with one of the bad ones. Hi, I'm Weaver. I'm a registered nurse with nearly 20 years of critical care experience, and tonight on the Story Weaver After Dark, we're talking about a terrifying but all too real situation. What do you do when the person taking care of you in the hospital is a nightmare? I've worked alongside some phenomenal nurses. Dedicated, compassionate, heroic even. But I've also worked with the kind that make your skin crawl. The ones who should never have touched a stethoscope in the first place. Let me tell you about a few. First up, we have the sleeping nurse. She was notorious. Every night shift, the same thing. She blatantly and unabashedly would sleep the whole shift at her desk in front of everyone. Meanwhile, everyone else was pulling their and her weight, having to fix her IV pumps, check on her patients, and just basically doing her job for her. One night I had lower acuity patients, but that didn't mean I was slacking. I charted, did my checks, and yeah, during actual breaks or rare slow moments I'd read a book, The Horror. That morning I had a major dressing change due at 6 a.m., a complex, time-consuming one. It was due very close to shift change, and I was not going to do it early because the patient requested I let them sleep as much as possible. Right on cue, Sleeping Beauty woke up and started her usual chaos, rushing around barking orders, demanding help, and trying to dump the rest of her work on everyone else. I told her no, I had my own patient to care for. She lost it, total meltdown, and promptly reported me to management for reading. I got pulled into the office, scolded like a child, until other nurses came forward with pictures of her sleeping. Yeah, caught. Don't throw stones and all that jazz. It still took months to get her fired. Months of patients getting subpar care, and co-workers covering for her just to get through the shift. Up next we have the Mean Girls, a group of nurses who thought they were untouchable. One night, a patient came into the unit with a severe disfigurement. Instead of showing compassion, they took pictures of the patient, shared them, showed others, making fun of someone at their most vulnerable. Their excuse? How could you not? Look at it. No remorse, no humanity. Totally disgusting. They got caught. They were given a choice, resign or be fired. No other repercussions. They resigned, of course, and landed at another hospital, where they eventually became nurse practitioners. Yep, totally sickening that people like this are allowed to work in healthcare. The system failed. Again. Mean girl and clique culture in nursing is a thing and a topic for another video for another day. Bullying in nurse culture is a whole topic repeatedly brought up in nursing school to warn students of what they're going to experience for a reason. And finally, we have the worst of the worst. A patient came in, HIV-positive, vomiting blood from a GI bleed. A hard night and horrible experience for any person already. The assigned nurse? She stormed out of the room in disgust, spewing slurs about the patient's sexuality. She refused to care for him. She called him names and made jokes proclaiming he deserved what he was going through. She was known to openly mock patients behind their backs and just treat her patients poorly unless she was being observed by management. Then she was sweet as honey. She was never written up, never got caught, despite multiple complaints. She just eventually, thankfully, moved on to another hospital after getting married. Because sometimes hospitals would rather keep a bad nurse than have no nurse at all. Here's the truth. When you're in the hospital, you're at your most vulnerable, and not all nurses are angels and scrubs. But you can protect yourself. Here are 5 powerful ways to do just that. Number 1, get their name. Always get your nurse's name. Ask them to write it on the room identification board, which they are required to do. It should be updated every shift. If for some reason that's not possible, or they refuse, or there's not an identification board, then keep a notebook or something to write on. You can even ask them to write it down for you. If something goes wrong, knowing who was taking care of you is the first step in holding someone accountable. Plus, it reminds them that you're paying attention. Bring a second set of eyes, a friend, a family member, someone you trust. You can't be expected to catch everything when you're sick. A visitor can be your advocate, your witness, and your backup if things go sideways. Having a witness to what you're going through is important. Some hospitals have rules about overnight stays and the amount of visitors you're allowed to have, but there are no hospitals that completely ban visitors. Know your meds. Ask for a list of your medications and when they're supposed to be given. Nurses are supposed to tell you what they're giving you and why. If they don't know or don't want to answer, that's a problem. When I was working, I always double-checked medications. I looked things up in our pharmacy software constantly to ensure I was giving the right meds for the right reasons. Your nurse should too. Nurses are human. We are not an encyclopedia of drug information and knowledge. If you ask about a medication and they don't immediately know the answer, that's not a bad thing. If it's a medication they're giving you in the moment, they should definitely be looking it up before they give it to you. If they refuse to find the information for you or don't immediately look it up, however, that's a major issue. They're not doing their due diligence to be safe. Be reasonable, but not a doormat. Nurses are often running themselves ragged. Multiple patients, emergencies, short-staffed units. Be patient. Give them time to respond. And understand that sometimes their hands are tied by policies or doctor's orders. But that does not excuse rudeness, neglect, or abuse. If a nurse is acting out of line, don't assume it's your fault. And don't excuse bad behavior just because they're having a bad day. Now, if they're just not super personable that day, they may be having personal problems or even not feeling well themselves. We can't always be on with a smile plastered on our face, but our personal problems should not be affecting our patients' care. Speak up smartly. If you feel mistreated or unsafe, say something. Ask to speak to the charge nurse, the house supervisor, or management. Most hospitals now have programs where members of management will come around and talk to the patients to make sure they're having a good experience. Take these opportunities to speak up as well. Also, if you have a nurse that's doing a great job, take the opportunity to compliment them as well. Nursing can feel like a thankless job at times, and a little kindness will most likely make your nurse's day. If you're experiencing serious issues with your nurse, consider documenting the interaction. Use your phone if needed, but only if absolutely necessary, and discreetly. Don't shove a camera in someone's face. That's not helpful. It's confrontational, and may cause the situation to escalate. But if a nurse is being abusive or discriminatory, and you need to protect yourself, discreetly record, or better yet, have a loved one document things for you. Just be aware, some units have rules against recordings for patient privacy. Don't use this tactic lightly. Being sick shouldn't mean being scared, and hospitals should be safe spaces, not battlegrounds. But sometimes the system lets bad nurses slip through, and that's why you have to be your own advocate, or bring one with you. And if you are a nurse watching this, be the nurse you'd want at your bedside, not the nightmare someone's still telling stories about 10 years later. Be kind, be competent, be accountable, because the best care comes from the best people. If you've ever had a horrible hospital experience, or a nurse who saved your life, drop your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me next time on the Story Weaver After Dark. Until then, stay safe and stay aware.